Hey everyone, welcome to week 58. This is day 4, Thursday. This is our ongoing ritual week. We've painted Fer, then we painted Danny, very kind of deconstructed painting. I really liked it. Then we went back to Fer, a very feral Fer. And today we're going to go with Samu, a very nice close-up of Samu eating some chips. We'll see how we do. Don't worry. You don't have to check your audio. You are right where you should be. This is day 4. This is Thursday. This is our ongoing ritual week. I thought about renaming it Interrupted Ritual Week, but we're going to go with ritual. You know, that was my first choice. That's what I thought the week was going to be about. So I can actually speak about the expectations that I had for the week and how they've changed with the making of these 3 past paintings. And I think expectation is the key word here, because what we heard at the beginning were 2 sounds that are going to accompany yesterday's painting and today's painting. That first sound we heard, that twisting of that bottle cap to open a soda bottle, is the sound we expected to hear when we looked at Fer's painting yesterday. That's exactly the sound that was about to happen until we barged in uninvited into this painting. I think that there's a feeling there that I had never really explored in a painting. And I mean, it's kind of funny, it's kind of whimsical, and I have no idea if it speaks about, higher art, but it does speak about the relationship that I have with the people that I paint, and how I'm always on, and they feel the obligation to be on as subject matter also. I mean, that's a huge weight to put on their shoulders, and that's very, very annoying if you think about it. So I think that those sounds, specifically that first sound, again, that twisting of that bottle cap, that gas very slowly seeping out of the bottle and then abruptly just bursting out, that sound is exactly what Fer intended to hear before we showed up to this painting. And I think that there is a sense of urgency there. There is a sense of us as a viewer expecting this act to continue, this tiny little motion, this moment to continue. We want to hear that sound. We know that that's coming. We know what to expect. Our own experience is the one that's actually lighting the way in this journey, and it's telling us this is what comes next. And yet, this painting is just frozen. And I think it goes beyond painting as a way to freeze a moment in time, as a way to capture nature. I've never really seen painting as that. I know that that's a very romantic way to view painting, to understand painting. That was a very popular way to see painting, especially in the 19th century, late 19th century, with the advent of Impressionism. In reality, I don't think I've ever understood time as being something that can be apprehended. I don't think painting is suited to try and understand what a moment of time, what an instant of time feels like. Again, this is all very, very subjective. I think painting takes so long to forge or maybe even fester that the notion of time is terribly abstracted. It's really hard. It's very complicated to try and solve through painting what is essentially a tiny moment of light passing through, or a lighting condition, or a swift movement. And obviously, the invention of the camera made possible a ton of things that were not really, I don't want to say possible, but were understood differently before the camera was invented. So the notion of movement was just something that was interpreted very, very differently before, mid-19th century. But that little instant, that sound that we heard right at the beginning of the audio, that's what we expected to hear in yesterday's painting. And I think that the killer part of the painting is the fact that we didn't get to hear that. What we are getting from the painting is actually a greeting that is not friendly, I would say. This is not a very warm greeting. This is not, oh, the observer is here. Welcome to our painting. Please make yourself at home. Feel free to walk around. Call me if you need anything. No, it's not that at all. Like I said yesterday, Fer is like fed up. This is Fer just saying, come on, just give me 1 second. Could you not be in my space for every single second of my life? Could I just not be the subject of your painting? And I think that that's a wonderful thing. I mean, imagine engaging with a painting that doesn't want you as an observer to be there. Imagine a painting that rejects you as an observer. I think that that's amazing. And imagine you having to fight to want to be there. Imagine us as observers saying like, hey, I know, I'm not supposed to be here. This wasn't up to me. I just showed up. Now that I'm here, I'm deeply entranced by what's going on. And I want to stay for a little bit if you let me. Imagine the painting having that power over us. Imagine that expectation having that power over us. I think that that's really incredible. I never thought of doing anything like that. I never conceived what was exciting about the painting happening outside the painting. I mean, that to me is absurd. The reason that you do a painting is because the exciting things are going to happen inside the painting, within the painting. You're trying to control all these variables that you've worked really hard to try and understand, all these devices, so that you can have control of that image. What you want is that image becomes really powerful. It's a strong storytelling device. You are in control. You're the director of this image, and you're going to take all these viewers and turn them into passengers, and you're going to design the road in which they're going to travel through the painting. That's how I thought paintings should work. But what I've noticed is that if there is I don't want to say narrative, but if there is some sort of reasoning outside the painting, if you're trying to figure out, and I guess all these weeks are just excuses to try and figure something out. So if us as observers are aware of what's going on in like the meta painting, outside the painting, and what the intent is supposed to be, but sometimes, we're off the mark, but it doesn't matter. But we're aware of all those successes, but also all those shortcomings. If we have all that information, and if we feel that we're already part of the painting before the painting has even started, before the painting has even been painted, if we feel we have an active role to play before all those things are set into place, then that's incredible. Because then a ton of new dynamics that I never considered, again, are actually activated. And the sound that we heard right at the beginning of the video, that's what we just happened to barge into. It's that exact moment. Fer's reaction is just this natural reaction to you being there at the wrong moment. You were the wrong person at the wrong time. And I think my impressions would in some way symbolize the broader observer. And I hope sincerely that I'm not way off with this. So when I express that me as an observer feels like I'm not supposed to be here, I was thrown into this image and I don't really want to be here, but I'm here. And now that I'm here, I have to engage with this image, and I have to do it in the manner in which I know how to engage with this image. So now I'm going to look at compositional devices, at design elements, at color relationships. I'm going to use all these things to try and make sense of this painting. But again, I'm not supposed to be here. This is not my place. It's not my place to do those things. So how do you interact with a painting that feels like you're a hindrance, that is certainly not happy to see you? How do you construct a relationship with those paintings? Now, thankfully, today's painting, the painting of Samu, was the audio that you heard right after that bottle cap was twisted. We now hear the rustling of that bag of chips. Now, the cool thing, and this has to do a lot with my son's personality, which is completely different from my daughter's personality. So Samu doesn't mind that you're there. He's actually looking past you. You are actually an obstacle. He's literally trying to look at something that's behind you, and you just happen to be in front of his center of interest. And he's not annoyed. He's not frustrated at you. He doesn't want you to move. He's not going to exert that amount of effort to try and make you move. He's just going to look over you. He's going to look past you. And that's about it. But he's going to find you completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. And how is he doing that? Well, That sound that we expected to hear in Fer's case, which was momentarily interrupted and almost like suspended, I would say, in Samu's case feels different. That sound that we expected to hear, it's almost like a constant. Because Fer actually had to stop to acknowledge your presence and then feel very pissed that you're there. She's very frustrated. She's like, okay, I've had enough. But Samu's like, oh, you're here? I'm just going to keep eating my chips. Imagine our transition. We're going from this active viewer, essentially a viewer that was thrown into this lion's den, and we're certainly not greeted with open arms. And now we enter a painting where, yeah, sure, we're welcomed, but the only reason we're welcomed is because Samu doesn't care. Samu finds us completely irrelevant. So honestly, I don't know which one is worse. I mean, I don't know if I'd much rather be rejected, like in Fer's case, or be understood as invisible, as in Samu's case. What's amazing is that both of those things are available to us as viewers. Both of those feelings are right there. They are feelings to be had in these paintings. And I don't know if a single image, if an image void of context could have ignited this reflection that I'm having here. But the fact that these are a couple of images that are part of a bigger context that is this week's theme, but also part of a broader context that is this week that came right after the week that we did a week ago. That is also part of a broader context that is this whole exercise where we've painted for 58 weeks now, and we've done almost like 300 paintings, trying to push ourselves, trying to understand our intent, trying to make ourselves uncomfortable. So all these things are adding up, and they're putting us in a place where these feelings are accessible to us. And I find that yesterday I said so magical. And I think that that's the word. I mean, painting is something that's fascinating. And for the longest time, I've seen painting just as an image-making device. There are things that I hope are exclusive to painting, to the way we interact with a painting, to the way we contemplate painting, to the physical space that a painting creates. But painting essentially is an image. And images have very fundamental rules. And I thought for the longest time, like I said, that that's what you were supposed to be good at. You're supposed to work really hard so that you understand those fundamentals of image making in order to translate your intent, the way you view the world, how your perception is shaped, how your experiences have made you who you are. So you turn all those feelings of empathy, of pain, of growth, of overcoming, you turn all of that into an image. You are capable of translating all those very powerful sentiments into an image. I thought that was it. That's our end goal. That's the end goal for every single painter, right? Just to make a powerful painting. And a powerful painting is almost inherently tied to the essence of being a powerful image. But what if an image happens outside the image? What if the pulse of that image is happening outside? What if it's being fed by all the reflections that we've done throughout the past year and 4 months? What if it grows from all the thoughts that are provoked? What if our insecurities, our successes, our acknowledgement of our shortcomings, what if all those things are essential to the interaction that we can have with these images, again, outside of the image plane, outside. This has to do with us as human beings encountering a painting, encountering this idea of painting. Because for the vast majority of us, we're not really interacting with these paintings in the way we're supposed to, ? I mean, you're supposed to look at a painting like a physical painting in order to be able to understand the proper, quote unquote, relationship that is meant to be had with that painting. We're supposed to be there, to be in front of that painting. I mean, it's not obligatory, but that's why a painting is a painting. If we're going to socialize them digitally, then let's paint in Photoshop. Why do we paint? Why paper? Why canvas? Why stretchers? Why frames? It doesn't matter anymore. But if you think about it, only like a handful of people are going to be able to experience those paintings in that same way. But what about the rest of us? What about all the people that are just looking at these paintings and are able to experience something different, something that goes beyond the painting, something, again, that lies outside the painting, something that our experiences help us construct. That is incredible. Those are the sort of things that I don't know. I don't know how they're going to change my painting. Maybe next week we're just going to do a very formal exercise and we're not going to forget about, these experiences. Of course not. I never forget about meaningful experiences. No, these experiences are so valuable, but many times I just don't know what they are going to provoke or how they are going to change me, or maybe the change that they are going to demand is something that is materialized in a couple of paintings and that's it. Or maybe that change is something far bigger than what I'm supposed to understand, and it is going to fundamentally change the way I paint and the way I view painting. So I've taught myself to not try to anticipate what all these questions and all these thoughts and all these reflections, because I have no clue where I'm headed. And that's fine. I've come to accept that that is a wonderful road to travel. So I've taught myself how to be very comfortable in these instances, knowing that those two moments, those two sounds can be intrinsically tied to these two paintings. The bottle cap on yesterday's painting and the rustling of that bag of chips for today's painting. And yet, they don't mean the same thing. Even if we have that auditory expectation for these two paintings, it doesn't mean that they are trying to say the same thing, that they are trying to evoke the same response in us as viewers. No, I think the response is completely different. Completely different. I hope you guys tell me if I'm way off the mark with this and that I'm just projecting something that I feel is very personal onto these paintings and is something that would escape any other observer. But the thing is, that's why I feel this project and this whole idea of speaking through this project, speaking through each and every one of these paintings is so important, because if it were not for this, the paintings would not be. Perhaps the paintings would just be images. And they could work as images. I'm sure some of them would be more powerful than others, and that would be totally fine. But perhaps because of this, because we are trying to figure things out, then the paintings are part of this bigger mechanism where all these other gears are put in motion, and where if we want to, this is the caveat, if we want to, if we let the painting become this, we can have experiences that are so much broader than the painting itself. And I think that that's absolutely wonderful. So I have a big smile on my face. I think the last two paintings, in the context, again, in the broader exercise that we're doing, were so much fun, but they're also incredible because they taught me so many things that I just didn't know were there. I didn't even know that I could expect those things out of my painting. So even if it sounds cheesy, it's just pure magic. And I'm not speaking about my paintings being magical, please. This has to do with painting, with a bigger sense of painting, not with what I do in particular. The paintings don't have to be amazing for that to happen. They just have to be tied to our own experience, I feel. So I don't know. I think this is pretty cool. Anyways, that's going to be it for today. I have no clue how we're going to finish up tomorrow because, how do you follow these 2 days? I don't know. Impossible. So we're going to try to make the best out of a bad job and close the week up tomorrow. So thank you guys for hanging out. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.